we're here talking about pro wrestling. Clay Williams is joining me today. And it's not just Clay Williams, it's the WWA's national champion, Clay Williams. And man, and man, I've followed WWA for a very long time. And I really, the talent that there is fantastic. The shows are great. What's it like being at this level now of you being the WWA national champion?
So I debuted over a little over a year ago. It's gonna be a year and a half ago, this coming June. And like it has been the most fun in my entire life. It's the greatest thing. Um, and being national champion, I came into the company, obviously being a fan, and the one title I was like, I need to win this title was the national championship, and I did, and it was like the greatest moment of my entire life. Um, so it was great. It was great.
And you've had it's a really, to me, it's a very good storyline of your trip to getting the national championship. So let's kind of go through because as fans, there's a lot of consistencies from company to company. There's a lot of, oh, they do this too, or they, I mean, there's not very much that's not done anymore as far as it's like I want to say it was, you didn't have a money in the bank, but it was a contract, right?
It was a similar concept to Money in the Bank. Yeah, it was a contract.
Yeah. So you won the contract, and so take me up to that moment when you pretty much cashed that in.
So the scheduled match, it was in Livermore. It was Munchie and Vanderpool going one on one. It was Munchie's first singles title match, I believe. Maybe not title match, but title win for sure. Um, and to snatch that away was great. I loved it.
Yeah.
Um, and whenever I was a babyface, me, Munchie, and MK Swift, we were cool. That actually, um, the show before I turned on CCW, me and 3CB teamed up together, and it was kind of like a full circle moment where we teamed up, and I turned on CCW, and then to get to this moment where I cash in on Munchie, take away that moment from him, it was kind of a full circle moment, and it was great.
Yeah. And I mean it, and everybody, you can follow you on Instagram. You can see all this great stuff from that match, and also
Yeah,
YouTube too. You can see WWA stuff on there.
yeah,
So you, but that's not where I first seen you. You used to do hardcore matches.
yes,
And
yes.
I don't know if it's the old man thing in me that hardcore matches today, I haven't seen it in WWE. I may just not missed it, or maybe it just got by me. But you see a lot of hardcore matches, especially in smaller promotions, utilize light bulbs. So I wanted to talk to you
Yes.
about that because you've been a hardcore champion. You had an incredible match at the Coliseum at Halloween Hell against CCW. That we'll talk about that here in a minute because I was there in person for that match, and that was absolutely great. Where do you stand on what's the line? When is too far of being, what I want to say, too violent just for violence sake instead of being part of the match?
Uh, I think everything in professional wrestling needs to have a reason,
Sure.
and I don't think uh the stuff they do, GCW is like really bad with it. The stuff they do, I despise it. I think if you're doing something just to do it, then you shouldn't do it. You know
Sure.
what I mean? Because if you look at me and CCW, everything in that match had a reason to,
Right.
you know, be there. But again, GCW is really bad with that. Like the stuff Matt Cardona is doing. I don't
Which blew me away.
know if you like
I'm
Matt
glad you
Cardona.
brought up Matt Cardona, because I like when
Yeah,
he made that jump, well, not the jump, WWE kind of let him loose, and he goes to GCW. He's, oh man, the name just slipped me. He's in the title match, and then
yeah,
he did, well, in a way you say you got to do it for a reason. He's wearing all white gear, which is incredible. I mean, that's really smart when you think about it,
right.
because he knows
Yeah,
he's going to get bloody. But yeah, GCW, man, I'm not going to say, I'm not going to, really trash them or anything, but they push the limit. And
yes,
like you're just
yeah,
talking about, it's a lot of ultra violent. Sure, there's a market for that. I'm not saying there's not,
right.
but I am just such that old school dude. One of my favorite matches of all time is Roddy Piper and Greg Valentine, the dog collar match from the 80s.
Yeah.
Brutal. I mean, even as today's standards, it's a brutal match. But
Yes.
all it was a chain and a dog collar. It wasn't. It wasn't.
Yeah.
You weren't pulling pizza cutters, and you weren't
Yeah.
breaking glass. And but yeah, I'm on page with you on that. I mean, it's you have to have a reason to do it.
Yeah.
And yeah, GCW. And I don't know a whole lot about them other than when Matt Cardona basically changed his career with
Yeah.
GCW.
Yeah.
So
And props to them. I don't blame them, but the stuff they do is kind of,
sure,
you know,
it's a little much. I mean,
mhm.
it kind of is. But well, that's going to bring me to that hardcore match you had with CCW. There's a spot in that match. I'm barbed wire. It's cool, fine, I get it. But it was a spool of barbed wire, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I want to say, and I may have this backwards. Did he suplexed you onto it?
He
Is that
spine
right?
busted me. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, man. You take a bump like that, it's I know it didn't feel good for
It
sure.
it it truly did not. Um, but if you go back and look at that spot, he spine busters me, but he kind of loses footing.
Mhm.
So um to keep it safe, uh he was gonna just throw me on it and then I was gonna fall off, right?
Yeah.
But the way he lost his footing, he spine busted me and I kind of like rolled down the spool. So if you go
Okay.
back and watch it, he kicks me over to see if I'm like gushing blood.
Right. Yeah.
But I was, it hurt. It that was like the most brutal thing I've ever done. But no, I didn't get, gushed or anything.
And that's what you talk
No
about.
gash.
You've been in it for a year and a half, which at that point was probably just a year because that was back in October.
Yeah, yeah, not even. Yeah,
And which there I say I got a lot of great things to say about CCW. Just watching him throughout the years and what him and Ray have done with WWA and stuff like that.
yes, yeah,
Uh, what's it like being? I mean, that's WWA. That's top of the line. I mean,
yeah.
you're in there. So you've been there less than a year. What's that feeling like? Man, this is great. I'm in this for the rest of my life. Is that kind of the thing of just keep going?
Yeah, WWA is the top wrestling company in this area. Like
Sure.
I'm not trying to like trash anyone else, but I think it's the production, it's the talent, it's everybody. And to be, national champion, that's the Intercontinental Championship of the WWA.
Right.
That's really freaking cool. I've always called the national championship the workhorse title.
Hmm.
Um, but uh to be one of those top guys, not to like put myself over, but one of those top guys to kind of like be, the a pillar of the company is really cool. And I think, you know, I don't think there's any stopping for me right now.
Hmm.
Like I could say that 5 years from now, oh, I'm, getting tired of it, blah, blah. But as of right now, I'm like full speed ahead. We're
Yeah.
we're in for the long run.
And that's awesome. That's what I mean. You talk about the production. I've had Drake Jackson on here before,
Yeah.
and we've talked about the production. I think it is. You're right. Production wise, the top in this area. You guys are the template, and I've said it so many times for a small company or an indie company, whatever you want to call it. WWA has a great template for what you should be to expand and move forward.
Yeah.
That's just what it is. Now losing I want to talk about this real quick. They just announced that you guys are coming back to Evansville this summer.
Yes.
And losing the Coliseum was a huge deal. I've talked about the Coliseum on here a handful of times.
Yeah.
So people who have listened and seen it, whatever, you're tired of hearing me talk about the Coliseum. I love that place. But you guys are going to be back at the Armory. And like you said, you guys are such I don't want to say not a cornerstone of pro wrestling, but you're definitely the biggest indie promotion in this area. And to have Evansville back, that's just I think you guys will see an explosion of exposure, of
Oh
fans.
yeah.
you guys are definitely on the right track. What's that mean for you to be back in Evansville?
So Evansville is actually my hometown. So that's one of the main reasons because Halloween Hell was in Evansville, and to
Mhm.
main event Halloween Hell in my hometown, it was like the biggest deal to me. So being back in Evansville, I love it. I think because being in Evansville the entire year, I was like, what venues would take us? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was going, researching all over the place. Same with a few others. And originally the Armory wouldn't take us, and for whatever reason. But but yeah, we're back, and it's gonna be freaking amazing.
And see, that blows my mind because the Armory, you hear about like the guys talk about the old territories or older wrestlers. There's always an Armory. There
Yes, yes,
always. And so it's like, why not? Why not feed into that kind of angle of, yeah, there's wrestling at an Armory again. It's
right.
great. I think it's a great thing. Um, I did want to ask you, I want to ask you how you got into pro wrestling. Where was it? What was the who were you a fan of? Was there a show that just got you hooked? What was it that got you into being a pro wrestling fan?
So it was 2008. I remember not the exact day. I don't remember what day it was, but it was 2008. It was No Way Out. Um, and I was sitting in the middle of my living room floor. My parents were in the other room vacuuming or doing something, and I was watching TV, and Undertaker was making his entrance. And the first ever match I saw was that Elimination Chamber. It was Undertaker, Batista, MVP, Big Daddy V, Finley, and Great Khali. That was the first match that I ever saw.
Yeah.
And again, it was Undertaker's entrance that I was watching. I was like, this is really cool.
Is that the one that he
Um,
got burned in?
I
You know that story?
yeah, I don't. It
I can't
might have
remember
been.
what year that was.
I haven't. I can't either. Um, yeah, that was the first match, and then 2010, I went to my first live event. I would have been 6 at that point, and I had a sign that said "I heart HHH," and I was front row with my parents and my cousin, and Triple H saw my sign, and while Big Show was making his entrance, Triple H came down and put his DX sock hat on my head. So
Oh, that's pretty
I
cool,
think
dude.
that's really what got me into it was seeing it live.
Sure.
But No Way Out was really the point
Yeah.
where I got into it.
I almost thought you were going to go back a little further because you have a SummerSlam Bulldog and Bret Hart poster back there.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
thought for sure
I
you
was
were
not
going to
alive
dig a
when
little
that
further.
happened.
Which that
I was not
match,
alive when that happened, but it
yeah,
was it's my I have my top 3 favorite matches right there. Cactus Jack Triple H at the
yeah.
Royal Rumble, Shawn and Taker at 25, and then Bulldog and Hart.
And all three of
Top
those
3 right there.
are every fan should watch those matches. I
Yes,
mean, I know exactly which matches those are.
yes.
So let's talk a little bit about your blindfold match. You've done the
Okay.
gimmick matches, man. You
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's not so
I love them.
blindfold, and that was with Josh Onyx.
Yep.
Um, I the only two I can think of off the top of my head is Rick Martel and Jake Roberts,
Yep.
and Triple H and D'Lo Brown.
Yes.
So, so
Yes.
I don't think there's a whole lot of things to reference when you're when you're getting ready for a blindfold match.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
was it like when was that pitched to you guys, or were you guys like, hey, let's do something that maybe hasn't been done for a long time? Let's do a blindfold match.
So, um, I don't know how it came about. I seriously have no idea. But I saw on Facebook. I literally saw it on Facebook, and it was fans choose the stipulation match, and I think it was what were the options? I think it was title match, no contract match, where my contract was on the line. I was still the contract holder at that point. Um, what was the so those were the 2 options: blindfold match and contract match. I don't remember the third option. I seriously have no idea.
Yeah,
But um, but yeah, I guess fans wanted to see a blindfold match, so we gave it to them.
and see,
And
I get it.
I think Litchfield was like the perfect show to
Yeah,
do a blindfold match in.
and that's one of the
They
like I
were
said,
hot.
it's something we haven't seen in a long time. Or if you
Yes.
or if you
Yeah.
haven't or you have seen it, it's been somewhere nobody can play. You know what I mean? It's just there's not been a one around for a while. And
Yeah.
if you look at Jake Roberts and Rick Martel, that's like a 6 month buildup for that match.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
storyline is one of the better stories in pro wrestling. And I don't think Rick Martel gets talked about enough as good as he
Right.
was. I
Right.
mean, Jake is getting there now for sure. But yeah, man, I couldn't fathom doing a blindfold match. Just
Right.
I don't
Right.
want to know the tricks. I don't want to know magic. I don't want to know any of that.
I'll tell you what, there were no tricks.
There were
I could not see.
yeah,
I could not see whatsoever.
yeah.
And I hated it. I absolutely despised that match.
Yeah,
But, I won, so it was okay.
right. And yeah, man, I mean it's just you've come so far so fast. I don't want to say it's not too fast. I mean, you've been around for a year and a half and you're getting everything together. What was it that was like, was there ever a point when you got in there and you were just like, this is it? I've, some people say it's their first match. Some say it may take a little while, but was there ever a time when you were just, I'm so happy I'm doing this. This is exactly what I wanted and where I want to be.
Uh, so I have two answers. The first one is my debut match
Mhm.
because um, even before I was teaming with CCW against Wet Express, and it came about as Wet Express were bullying me backstage. Chris help, blah blah blah. And then before I even went out of the curtain, they were chanting my name, and I thought that was like the coolest thing of
Sure.
all time. Um, and then the second answer would be Halloween Hell, the main event,
Yeah.
because again, my hometown, biggest crowd I've ever competed in, um, and it was just whenever Chris was making his entrance, I remember looking around, and I was like in awe of everything, and I was
Mhm.
just like, this is the coolest moment of my entire life.
And we talked about CCW and that's one of the benefits I think of being his opponent
Mm.
is that you've got a lot of time when he's coming down to the ring
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
to
You
get,
best believe you're gonna be there for 10
yeah,
minutes.
you can take it in. You got a second, which his entrances are great. He's always done a great job
Oh
with,
yeah,
especially
oh
those
yeah.
big shows. So what happens now, man? Are you wanting to kind of push a little forward and go for that title, or are you going to hang on to the national championship? Where do you see yourself now?
Uh, why not go for both?
Sure,
You know what I
sure.
mean?
Why not? I
No,
mean,
I think so. I started off with the hardcore title. Now I'm at the national title. Um, it seems like I'm going in order. So
yeah.
maybe that WWE title is going to be in the near future. So
Now, because I mean, you've done the hardcore thing. We've talked about that quite a bit. Do you like
yeah,
doing those stipulation matches, or sometimes are you just like, you know what? I just want to do an old time wrestling match.
I think again it goes to the if you're going to do it, there needs to be a reason.
Hmm.
I've never been a fan of doing just hardcore matches just to do them. You know what I mean? But obviously it's
Sure.
the hardcore championship, so
Yeah.
um, but if you look at the people I faced as hardcore champion in these hardcore matches, you got CCW, you
Sure.
got Stonewall, you
Mhm.
got Lizzie Six,
Yep.
the three hardest hitters in the WWE. You know what I mean?
Right. Yep.
Uh, so if I were to go back to hardcore matches, I wanted to be like Tyler Santos. You know what I mean? Like I that's behind me now.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you,
No, I really did enjoy doing them.
sure.
The most stressful matches I've ever been in, but whenever I got it done, said and done, I was like, that was really fun.
Yeah, and that's there to me. I mean, I know we kind of talked about it. There needs to be a reason, but there's some really great spots you can do in those hardcore matches. One of
Yeah,
my favorite ones has always been the staple gun. It sounds
yeah,
dumb, but you hear the sound when somebody takes a staple gun and they plug a staple in somebody. But I can
yeah,
remember when it was Ray Waddell and Josiah, and they brought out a staple gun, and Ray
yeah,
stapled a dollar to Josiah. It's just
yeah,
such a great visual moment in that match. But there was one thing it's recently happened. Chris Jericho was in some match in AEW. I can't remember who all was against. I think Hook was one. It was a triple threat match, but he threw,
Shibata was the other one. Yeah.
yes, and he
Yeah.
threw Dice out. I'd never seen Dice. I thought it was pretty smart. I mean, we've seen Legos and tacks and
Yeah.
stuff like that. I thought the Dice was a pretty good touch, but that's kind of where I was leaning in about the light bulbs. Like, are we getting to a point where you've got to be super creative now, but not be overly violent with stuff
Right.
in extreme matches? So yeah, I
Right.
mean, and like I said, yeah, like I said, you won't mind doing them. They were fun, but I'm sure they're taxing for sure.
Yes. Yes. It's it is something. And with that dice, I mean, again, reason they were in Las Vegas for Double or Nothing. It's the
Right.
whole casino gimmick.
Yeah.
So it made sense. And I think it is a thing of people who just want to be more creative and creative because everything's been done nowadays. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yep.
So I mean, if you find something creative in wrestling nowadays, it blows people's minds. So
Yeah,
I
for
love it.
sure. Oh man, I just had a thought and I lost it. This is why I don't take notes.
Uh,
um, oh, that we were talking about AEW. So when there's so much wrestling out there now, and with you being a part of it, like me as a fan, even I am not up to date. I know that for sure. I catch what I can. I see this, I
right.
may see that. With you being in it, is there more of a kind of a drive to watch everything that's going on? Because you hear like Tony Schiavone, I listen to Tony Schiavone's podcast, What Happened When, and he talks about back in the Monday Night Wars, they weren't really watching what WWE was doing at the time. But now there's so much, and there's so many different places. Do you kind of take a minute to be like, oh, I want to see what these guys are doing to maybe get a little bit of an idea or to see what's
Mhm.
working and what's not working?
I actually think it's the opposite. I
Okay.
think there's more of a distance of me wanting to watch just because you'll hear people oh, I don't like AEW, they're too super kicks and Canadian destroyers and whatnot, and then they'll
Yeah.
be like, I don't like WWE, they don't even have wrestling, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't think that's it for me. It's just the fact that um someone told me it was uh like a year ago that the more wrestling you consume, the more you're going to get tired of it, especially if you're doing it.
Like a
You know what I
burnout.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so uh it is like you said, I catch it whenever I can. I was on Twitter. I don't use Twitter anymore, but
Yeah.
they had a bunch of, Fightful Select would, oh, this happened, blah blah blah. And that's how I would know what happened on the show. But now I'm just like, I watch a Cody Rhodes match every once in a while because he's
Sure.
cool. I
Yeah.
watch an AJ Styles match because he's cool. But I don't like, oh, I can't name anyone, but
No,
this
you're
guy's on
fine.
the screen. So
Yeah.
I I I don't know. It's kind of, if I feel the need to be like, oh, I want to watch this match, then I will. But otherwise, I don't catch it.
Well, see, I'm about the same way. As far as social media, I don't do a whole lot, and
Yeah.
I mean, like personally, I mean, obviously for Wrestleverse, I do as much as I can,
Right.
but but yeah, like I don't. If you look on, say, Facebook threads or and it's not Instagram's not so bad, but a lot of it is just clickbait stuff. It's not even
Yes.
pro wrestling when it comes down to social media anymore. A lot of it is, oh, so and so said this to somebody else. I don't
Yeah.
care. I want to see the matches. I want to watch the
Yes.
show. And so, but yeah, there's so much out there. And you talked about people, not liking a certain promotion because of one thing, and then not like, man, fans have just got to get over that. It's pro
Yeah.
wrestling, guys, and
Yeah.
I can't believe how divided it really is. Like I know I'm in the minority of I just watch pro wrestling because it's entertainment for me.
Yeah.
I'm only investing my time, you know. I'm not going to sit there and hate on somebody. So say you guys are in the ring, somebody makes a mistake. I'm not even going to say a word about it because that's not what I'm there
Yeah.
to do. I'm there to watch the show and enjoy myself and be entertained by pro wrestling.
Yeah.
So it's come to a point where it's kind of don't bite the hand that feeds you. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah.
That was
Oh yeah.
fans are a little finicky anymore, dude. Do you
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
you
It's
notice a lot
it's
of that
kind
when
of
you're at
ridiculous.
shows?
Uh, I think our crowd is different. I think there will be like a couple of guys in the crowd just like nitpicking and whatnot,
Sure.
but I think our crowd is just there to see the show. I don't
Yeah.
think they care about anything.
I mean, that's what it's about.
Yeah,
I
it
can tell
it
you right
really
now,
is.
there's no way that I could step in there today and do what you guys do. Not a chance. So who am I to, oh man, that they slipped.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
come
yeah,
on,
yeah,
get over it.
yeah.
Dude, dude, I've had a great time talking to you today about pro wrestling.
Yes, yes.
Where can people find you on social media?
Facebook, Clay Williams. You'll see me in my nice little green jacket on my profile page. Um,
I do want to talk about your gear. I do like your gear, by the way.
okay.
That is some awesome stuff.
Instagram is Williams Clay _ Is that right? Do you know
I
my
think so.
Instagram handle?
Yep, I think
Okay.
that's right.
And then TikTok is Clay Williams 55. Is it bad that I don't know my own social media handles?
No,
I
it's
think I need
not. A lot of people don't.
it.
It's fine.
I think you just look up Clay Williams and I think you got it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how I found it. It was
Right.
Clay Williams.
There you go.
Everybody knows they can find me on Spotify, YouTube, and Instagram at Wrestleverse with Mike Akers. Before we go, because you did mention your gear, I is that there's one wrestler that comes to mind when I see that gear other than you.
Buddy Matthews.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
exactly who it was.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and it is we always talk about being you got to be different. We've seen everything. I
Yes.
think that's a great look, especially for the indies. I guess I don't want to call it indies. I hate calling it indies, but
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
for a smaller promotion.
Right.
But
Right.
all right, dude, we're running out of time. Thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Hey, I had a good time. Thank you.